Okay, hey, hello. Let's see if we have this working, right? After some struggle with technology, right? Mary was asking me what do I expect from the future of technology. And I was saying, if it works, it's already a good start, right? So let's see. All right. Oops. Uh-oh, I have another computer here. Okay, all right. So very good. Looks like it's working. I can see here on YouTube. Awesome. So it did work. Hopefully you're seeing here. I see lots of people here with us. So if you can see us, if you can hear us, say hello in the chat, right? So let me start this by just quickly saying that this week we are running a series of lives to discuss the future, right? And today we're going to discuss the future of technology in general. So if you want to have any comments, any discussions, feel free to discuss on the chat below, the chat on the side, whatever you are, depending on the platform that you are. And I'd like to thank everyone that's streaming this. We have lots of people streaming this. So I'd like to thank Java that's streaming this. I'd like to thank the Developers Conference that's supporting this effort, because next week we're going to have the Developers Conference Future, right? So that's why we're doing a series of lives about the future today, this week, the whole week. I also like to thank Elder Moraes for distributing the broadcast. The Java Journey for distributing this broadcast. Who else I'm missing here, right? So there's a lot, and all our guests, right? All our guests are also distributing on their channels. So thanks everyone. If you're watching this in any of those channels, just realize that we are broadcasting for a lot of different places. So thank you very much, everyone that is here with us. So let me bring our guest here today so we can start discussing about the future of technology. So, she is a Java evangelist, right? And she is also a leader of the Chicago Java user group. So she's been talking about Java for many, many years. With us, Mary Gringalski. Hey, Mary,
Hello,
how
everyone.
you doing?
Hello. Thank you, Bruno, for the invitation. Thank you. Yeah, hello from Chicago. So yeah, thank you.
All
So
right,
good.
that's awesome. So how are things in Chicago, Mary?
Yeah, it's Chicago's good, but it's getting colder as winter is approaching. But otherwise, yeah, everything's good here. So thank you. So glad to be here. Thank you. So yeah.
Awesome, that's great. And he is also a Java community manager, right? So he runs several communities actually, right? The Jacksonville Java user group, and he runs the Artificial Intelligence Virtual User Group and many other communities. And he's a specialist on artificial intelligence. So let me bring here Eyal. Man, I cannot say your name.
Virjansi.
Okay, all right. So we all know him from Eyal, right? And because there's not two Eyals out there, right? So hi Eyal, how are you doing, man?
Thank you. I'm great. Thank you for having me here. And actually, there are not many Eyal maybe around here, but where I come from, it's a pretty popular name.
All right.
Okay.
Okay. So let me say hello to Diego Oliveira that's watching us. Diogo is watching us. Ali, say hello, everyone. So if you want to make any comments, say hello in the chat so we can have a conversation. Now, let me tell you this. We're not able to monitor when we're streaming this for, I think like 18 or 20 different destinations. We're not able to monitor every single destination. But if you come to the channels in YouTube, we're probably going to be able to see you. All right. So, let me start with a generic question here, right? So, Mary, let me start with you. When you think about the future of technology, we are all developers here. When you think about the future of technology, we tend to think about all kinds of developers. So, what should we be looking at when you think about the future of technology? Should we, what do you think, right? What do you think is going to happen?
Yeah. Good question. Good question. I think the possibilities are infinite, right? Can be many things. But for myself, I would like to see more, let's say products and everything that comes out that are really enhancing people's lives. And I do see a lot of effort too right now, right, going on, especially with the younger generation. They are doing especially a lot of mobile apps and doing things like helping with your mental health, for example, things like that. I think those are great. But for sure too, I feel we need to leverage on technology and do something that's good, maybe like helping people that are in need, right? Maybe older people, we can have technology that are easier to use for them, something, right, that we have to think about. How can we make it easier so people are more comfortable about using it, and really for a good cause? I feel that actually should be the goal. I think the ultimate goal, right, to really make something good. Now I see that we're doing like automated self-driving cars and all these things. They are great too, not to say they're not good. But the thing is, on the other hand, I feel like it could be making people a little bit lazy, so to speak, right? Well, just sit there, let the car drive yourself. It's great. But to me, I feel, well, can we kind of think of something else that can actually, help some people that are really in need? If we can kind of figure that out and really drawing out the goodness in people, I think that would be something I would say, I would like to see myself. So yeah, that's my thinking. So yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's a great point. Let's talk more about that. Let's talk more about
Sure.
bringing the good out of people. Right? I think that's a
right.
very worthwhile goal for us to have. That's awesome.
That's right.
I'm just gonna say hello to Fernando. That say thanks for sharing your thoughts. Diogo said hi again. Bonnie Master said good vibes. So thanks, Bonnie. All right, so that's good. So yes, come on, say hello in the chat. You can start asking your questions, right? Anything that you want to do. How about you, y'all? You've been working with artificial intelligence for many, many, many years, right? You wrote a book about artificial intelligence. So what are you looking forward in terms of future of technology?
Well, I think it could be sort of fun, or maybe telling if we look at what we used to expect and see where we are today. So in the movie Back to the Future, in the second movie, they go to 2015. That was then sort of far away in the future. And today it's already in the past, and we can see what I was trying to think. What did they see? What did they think in the movie that they were going to have there, and where did it actually go? So I think in general you can say that some things they got right, but it were not really there, or it went a little bit differently. So things I could remember there were flying automobiles. So we are not really there, but we are more into electric vehicles now, which will probably take over. And electric vehicles are bringing all kind of interesting challenges. Some of them have to do with machine learning, try to predict the electricity consumption, because people charge the cars in all kind of times of the day, and it can cause all kind of load on the system. And there are all kind of ways to try to figure out when they're doing it, how to motivate them to do it in particular times. We saw something that walks the dog. Was a device that looked a lot like a little drone that walks the dog. So actually that became a lot more, drones have become a lot more important, or a bigger part of our life than what they imagine in this movie. The cars, actually the flying cars, are also the closest thing we have are personal drones that can take a person from a place to place, like a taxi car. That's maybe the first thing that we see that flies around as a sort of like an automobile replacement or a taxi replacement. And on the other hand, the cars may be able to drive themselves a little bit, so they're more autonomous, etc. But another thing that makes us think that we have a lot of, they showed in this movie. So what this movie shows, when that device walks the dog, it's basically taking some load off of people, helping people doing some maybe menial, what they consider menial jobs. So also in the house, you have all these devices that they can talk to them and tell them, bring me this food, and bring me that food, and makes us lazy, sort of what Mary said. We do have these things, but it does look like one of the technologies of the future is more home robotics. We saw what they didn't have in this movie is the Roombas and the automatic cleaners that are very, very popular, and they work well. And that will probably increase, and you may have at some point humanoids that either roll around the house, walk around the house, do things, and they may be able to be part of helping the sick and the elderly and the weaker people. They showed some interesting way of cooking food that I don't think that went anywhere. We still have microwave. That's the main thing. And
That's true.
there is
So
one more thing actually to
Alien,
make sure the future.
yeah, Alien Mutant is saying is upset that we still don't have hoverboards.
I see
Right.
that.
Actually, hoverboard is the first thing I was going to mention, but slipped my mind. So hoverboard indeed is not here, but we do have a lot of things developed for personal like a ground transportation. Started with Segway, and there is a one wheel and different devices that they don't have, unfortunately, but they can take you places. And I've seen a lot of people doing it. It's still, I don't think it's still mainstream or replacement for a car. But one more thing I wanted to point out, there was a cool scene where Marty goes to the diner and he wants to choose a drink, and then he sees Ronald Reagan and I think Ayatollah Khomeini fighting between them, which drink he should choose. So that's actually a deep fake in a way, because it wasn't really those people saying that. It was some actors that had the appearance of these people and imitating them. So that's actually sort of happened. That can change a lot of things also in the entertainment industry if they can eventually make movies without the people that maybe are no longer alive, or people that don't actually exist, and it will look like perhaps real real people to us, and will be convincing enough. It's getting pretty close, which of course has all kind of scary implication as well, like pretty much like every technology that we're going to mention here.
Yeah, scale.
Right.
It's true.
Okay, so let me say here. Let me say hello to Maximilian. So hey Max also Java. How are you doing? Let me say hello to Yara, right? So Yara is the head of the JCP. The TDC, not the JCP. Yara Mascarenhas is the head of the developers conference, right? And she's here. She says, awesome to see Bruno, Yao, and Mary here. Thanks for sharing experience. Now, there is one thing Diogo tells me. There's the following. I used to attend Java meetings in São Paulo, hosted by Bruno almost 20 years ago, right? Back then, Java was the future, right? So, a lot of times we might be able to look back so we can look forward, right? So, when we look back, like 20 years ago, when you talk about Java, right? It's very interesting that a lot of things didn't happen exactly like we're discussing. But a lot of things happen, in 1996 or 1997, I used to tell people that they would have in their pockets internet faster than they had in their homes at that time. And lots of people tell me, oh, Bruno, that's never going to happen, right? And then today, I actually, we actually have a much better internet in our pockets. And actually, not only a better internet, but a better computer than we used to have at that time, right?
That's right.
And so... that actually is a segue for the question here from Ali, and he says, does Java still have a future in the Android space or the mobile space? You guys want to take a crack at that?
Yeah, I would think so, right? Because it is Android. Well, it's still running JVM, let's put it that way, Kotlin, and Android. It's all about still Java technology. So certainly too, and I feel Java definitely has kind of catching up, right? All of these things that it is doing these days, right? With the new specs like Project Loom. But I think they changed name now to Virtual Threads, and all of these things you can see, it is definitely moving towards the direction of making it, much more lightweight, than it used to be, right? Through these threading new way of doing things. So yeah, it is. I feel there is definitely a future. There are also a lot of installations now, in the world too, all around, and you can't just like pull it out and say we replace it with something else. It's gonna take time. So if you have already invested your money into something like this, and their community is so strong to support it, so there's no reason why we say that it won't kind of continue. I don't think so. I mean, look at COBOL today. It's old, but there's still COBOL powering all of these like huge, kind of production system running too. So I think Java will have, a good future too. So yeah, and like I said, the community is making it really strong too, I think. So
yeah, they still have Javafx, right? That's actually gaining more ground as a desktop and mobile framework to develop, right? So not sure if you guys have any experience with that, but that's an interesting technology that's still being actively developed, right?
That's right. Yeah, exactly. So yeah.
And yesterday I was watching the same talk, the previous talk to in this series, which was about the future of Java. And probably it's still available to watch for people who are interested in that, right?
Yep.
Yes. Oh,
Where
yes. So
Excellent.
all the conversations this week all gonna be available. I mean,
Oh, great.
they're all on YouTube, right? So they're definitely
Ah,
available there.
cool.
So yes, you can watch. There was a interesting discussion yesterday about the future of Java with Elder Moraes and Mani Sakar, right? So they're
Yeah.
discussing that. Yes.
Yeah.
And I think they were in agreement that Java has a bright future at this point, and communities are stronger than ever, and
True.
things are looking good. And then there are other languages that are also doing well.
True.
But also, they were talking a lot about ways to work with several languages on the Java platform via the Growl engine,
That's right.
etc.
Right.
Totally.
Now,
Totally.
let me ask one question here in terms of talking about the future, right? There is, we are right now in this very crazy situation, right? Where, you know, basically the whole idea of the pandemic, right? It actually
And
moved people forward. I mean, I'm not saying the pandemic was good at all, right? But
that's
in
right.
all bad situations, there are good things that happen because of bad situations, right? And
That's right.
before the pandemic, we had lots of companies. I say this. I work 100% remote since
Mm.
1998, right?
Oh,
And
that's right.
and I'm definitely not the first person that works 100% remote, right? So I mean, a lot of
Mhm.
people who did that way before I did. So
Yes.
there's a lot of companies and a lot of developers, a lot of people around the world that could not work remote. That the company would say that that's impossible, right? And then because of the pandemic, those companies kind of moved, in my opinion, right, 20
Mhm.
years in the future, right? Because they catch up
That's
after
right.
20
Yeah.
years of not being able to do that. They catch up in just about a couple of months, right? And
That's right.
so, do you think that what just happened, this whole COVID situation and all the lockdowns and all that, do you think that's going to affect how we do things from now on?
I definitely think this way, but and it has several impacts. A is about as you as looking for a job, you can work sort of anywhere you want to work without having to move. Companies, on the other hand, can hire people from wherever,
Hmm.
except for companies who choose not to, or who actually want people to come to the office, but there are relatively few. And it's sort of because of there is more collaboration that is driven by technology rather than just sitting with people together. So you can sort of reach maybe more resources than you could before. But it has some social aspects that I don't like. I feel isolated at home when I work at home all the time, and because of the try to go out and meet with people whenever I can. But it also drives, I think, what especially Facebook is talking about it, about the metaverse. I
Hmm.
think that might happen in a way because of that. Especially in sort of in a scary maybe a scenario where maybe the pandemic will increase or there will be other pandemics and eventually we may leave the house less and less and we will be sort of stuck. Then the metaverse will probably become a reality at some point. We will do everything virtually, not just for work, but we will just
Mm.
meet with other people. I hope that's not going to happen in a way that replaces life,
Yes.
that we won't need to resort to that. But regardless, I think it will happen to some extent. So you could
Mhm.
see people and do things that are not necessarily work, or do it
Hmm.
sort of virtually. I think that will probably
Yeah.
take. I mean, there used to be already a gaming where you do group gaming and you hook up with people and you talk to them while you play, etc. So that
Yeah.
is sort of another stage. So I think gaming, with people who do gaming, people who are already immersed in this world will probably go the next step, and hopefully people that don't will not be forced into it as well. That's sort
Yeah.
of my hope.
Yeah. 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 Totally. I think I have to agree with EL too. I mean, it's like, yeah, you can kind of talk about all these things happening virtually, but still, I think in reality, right, we're humans. We need that actually in person kind of connection and touch. I think we should look at technology not dominating our lives, but it's more like it facilitate us, and we shouldn't like use technology and say everybody get together and you're all on your phones. It shouldn't be the case, right? We need it for communication, right, to do things, but ultimately too, we need to kind of reach out to people. We need to have this human kind of like touch with people too, I think, and that's going to be kind of interesting because and the technology too, we're going to emphasize all of these way of doing things, like you said, virtual reality. People, you can see people is kind of like in silhouette of somebody in the same room from somewhere. It's kind of great too, but on the other hand, let's not forget about the fact that we do need to actually reach out to people and say things, right, and develop some relationship with people too. So let's use technology to facilitate us towards that rather than having technology dominate our lives, I think. So that's my thinking. So
okay, that's awesome. Now there's one thing I gotta plug in here, right? That since we're talking about both of you guys are talking about having this mix of virtual and real things, right? And one of the things that was really affected was the events industry, right? So you, Mary, you are an evangelist, right? So you travel around the world going to events. I mean, you're not traveling around the world anymore, right? So going to events, right? And you also, you host lots of different communities, and you also run and go to events and all that. So when you think about going forward, right, what's going to happen in terms of the events, right? And so that's one thing I want to do. One thing I want to say here is that we're not going to go back, right? A lot of events are doing online things, right? And the reality is that now we are able to reach out people that were not able before, right? And if you think about people that can't travel, or they don't have an opportunity, or because maybe they don't have the money, or they don't have the freedom from at his company to just kind of go away for a week, for example, or maybe they live in very far away places where coming to an event it's going to be very hard. So those people actually had an opportunity, right? You're talking about doing good things for people, right, Mary? And so those people actually have an opportunity to participate, right, and meet other people and do things online. We can't just take this away from them, right? That's one thing that we're going to have to think about, right? So what do you guys think about that?
Totally. Yeah, that's right. I think, I think is great. Right now we have these virtual platforms, all of these different platforms to reach people. Certainly, it's not going to go away. But maybe we make it even better, kind of more reliable, right? All of these technology, the reliability part, the scalability part, and encouraging, maybe participation more. I don't know how you can kind of make it to make people feel like they are actually, in reality too, there are people behind the scenes. But because I think I've been, doing so much like online activities, and I do reach out to people too, actually, maybe at the side, or people coming to me and have mentorship. I really spend the time, right, with people, and I have some one-on-one mentoring session with folks and talking about things, or just simply there to listen. I think that it doesn't mean we have to diminish. Maybe this is the time I would take more time to listen to what people have to say as well. I think that's also very important, not just like making some connection and you claim you're like doing a presentation or something. Yeah, those are good too, but I really want to follow up with people. I'm genuinely interested in what people have to say and that type of thing. I think you want to really kind of express that aspect of it rather than just walk away. I think you can make that happen if you really care enough about other people too. It is what I think. So.
Right, makes a lot of sense. So there's a question about community, y'all, online communities. I'm gonna get back to that question when we come here. Just get back. Let me just kind of quickly tell you guys about what's going on with TDC, the Developers Conference, right? So we're talking about the future here, and next week, right, we're gonna have TDC, the Developers Conference Future Edition, right? And so if you, I'm just gonna tell you that participating in the basic pass of the Developers Conference is totally free, right? You have access. If you're an English speaker, you have access to 8 tracks fully in English. If you have a Portuguese speaker, there are other tracks that you can participate also. So if you come here, on DDAVConf, right? The URL right there in your screen. DDAVConf. You're gonna see TDC Futures. The next one, the last one for the year is 30th of November for 2 of December. You can click here, and that's gonna take you for you to for you to take a look at the event, right? So if you take a look here, right, we're actually gonna have a pre-show on Monday with Mary and Tom Pomponidiak, right? So they're awesome, right? They were here for the last event, so they're gonna be back, and they're gonna do the pre-event, right? There's gonna be Monday at night, right? And so they're also gonna talk about the future of technology, right? So so if you scroll down here, you're gonna take a look at all the tracks, right? So this is the Connect Pass tracks are the international tracks. We have all those cool tracks here, full in English, and then if you scroll down here, you're gonna see here the orange button, Rationale International, right? That's where you want to go, right? You want to go to this Rationale International button. I know there's other things here; they're all localized to English, but the one that's gonna take you to the right place for the English tracks is the Rationale. So if you click here, you're gonna see that's you're gonna get to the page where where you're gonna be able to register, right? And then the basic pass, I just want to point this out. The basic pass is completely free, right? So you have access to 3 days of free content. And then, if you want to go deeper, there's other options that you can do that. But, just join us because the event is going to be fully online. So we have speakers from all over the world, whatever you are, it's going to be awesome. You can join us. And I understand, Mary, that it's not everything that we can do in person, right? We miss the dinners, we miss the lunch, right? Yeah. But we still have networking, we still have conversations. The speakers are very available. I see lots of the speakers that participate all the time, and they participate in the chat, they do networking, they come and do discussions, right? So I would encourage you, wherever you are, to join us in that event. All right. So Eyal, there's a question here from Max, right? Max says, with the pandemic, all the events became online. So what do you think in terms of the future for the communities, right? Do you think the way to interact with communities has also changed? And do you think it's also going to be online from now on?
Well, I hope things will go back where you can see people in person, but I think I heard it first from you. It's never going to be back the way it used to be. So even when we go back to meeting in person, it will be a hybrid situation. We will have access online, and that enables us to reach all these people that are not local or cannot leave their homes, and also speakers that will not have to travel or are not local speakers to begin with, and it gives us a lot more possibilities. But people still want to meet, so whenever it's possible, I would just hopefully this is the format that I would like to go back to. And there are some meetups, local meetups that have been doing it already. I participated in one as a speaker, but my Java user group, we did it once, and then we lost our venue and we had to go back online, but I'm sure we will get it eventually back. I think that conferences, of course, is the other thing. So I see that conferences, I'm not sure if they're going to go to hybrid. DevNexus, for example, I think is back now. It was completely online last year, and this year they plan at least to do it in person. I don't think it will be a hybrid. So I wonder if TDC, for example, will allow, or other conferences eventually will take a hybrid form. But the same software that we use for meetups that enables you to do hybrid or fully online is the same pretty much software that is used for conferences. So I think you could use that, and it may be an extra effort to make the conferences hybrid, or at least some of the presentations available online.
Yeah, totally.
I myself cannot wait to go and participate in person in a conference. As nice as it is to be able to participate in a lot of conferences from home that normally I wouldn't be able to be there in the first place.
Well, I had the opportunity last week. We run Campus Party São Paulo, right? It was a much smaller event with lots of social distancing, but it was awesome, right? It was totally awesome. It was great to be back on stage, great to be back with people, and having great discussions, and and especially because Campus Party is a 24 hours event, right? So we had 3 days. It started on a Saturday and went all the way to Monday, no
Wow.
stop, right?
No.
So that was awesome.
Wow.
And so lots of conversations, lots of people, and we had actually Max that's here. He ran the online version of So Java was running several talks online, but we also had it was about 3,000 people. So yes, things are starting to come back. And it was totally great. Actually, we had people camping there, right? So
Wow.
yeah, because Campus Party is a
That's
camping place.
amazing.
So we had about I don't know exactly, but like 400 tents, right?
Wow.
Where people were camping, and so it was totally awesome, right? Actually, for me, I was very happy because my daughter gave her first presentation at an event, right? That event, so that was totally awesome. So
Awesome. Yeah, that's
so
right. Yeah.
now a hard question here. So Ali wants to mess with all of us here, right? So he's saying that with most universities moving to other languages in the classes, right? Are we going to get to a point where all the Java engineers are old and ultimately no more? So what do you guys think? Are you guys old and disappear?
Well, EL wants you. Please go ahead, EL.
What I wanted to say is, I am old, but I don't think universities were ever big on teaching Java. At least not the universities that I'm familiar with. Java was always sort of passed over, and they would teach all kind of other things. And eventually, people who need to do Java, they probably learn it not in university, even though there are. I mean, you can learn it in university, but it's not what they normally teach you by default. So I don't think this by itself will make a big difference. It's more about what companies choose to use, or what is available as open source, and what you can do projects at home. And Java has a huge amount of frameworks, projects, community. You can find an answer to any question. You can find a lot of mentors. So I think it's relatively easy to, perhaps people will not start with Java on their own, but the minute they need to use Java, they will find it very easy to turn into and to become good at.
That's right. Yeah, totally. Yeah. And I guess I'm thinking the same too. Right now, as I mentioned earlier, right, in this session, that actually there's still a lot of installations of Java in the industry. The big banks, like airlines, for example, all these things. And now too, I think Java is really set up kind of properly, or they move towards the cloud native way of doing things. I think a lot of libraries, frameworks are out there to support that too. And Java is already established as, very scalable, kind of resilient, default tolerance, all of these things. Yeah, you still like using Kubernetes, you're using Go and all of these things, right? But still, like Java too, it's kind of really designed very well to run in a cloud native way, like really things of the, the future, that's kind of immediate future, let's say. And so I don't think, it will just die like that. People still would be needed to maintain these systems and to expand upon it. And there's just so much that you can still do with it. All of the integrations too with many other things too. I just don't think it will be going away. And like EL said too, it's the industry is going to drive this. Even though universities don't teach it as much or something, I just think it will still be there. People are still interested in learning. Yeah. So yeah, that's how I look at it too. So.
Yeah, the way I see this is that especially because his question was about university, right? The way I see this is that the university is not obligated, and actually maybe should even not, right? Kind of follow what the industry is doing, right? I think universities are focused on really kind of getting the basics and getting the fundamentals and getting people to think and to actually do research, right? That's why we kind of forget about this. A lot of times we think that universities are made for we to get to to go work, right? But really, universities is the whole purpose of a university is to create new things, right? Actually, to get people to think and do research and improve, right? And have this opportunity to research things and experiment things and all that. So I think that the university is not really it's not actually if the university keep tracking of all the changing language. I mean, there's hundreds of languages out there, right? And actually, I think that's much better for in a computer science course, right? For someone to be able to quickly learn a programming language, to understand the concept, to understand and then when he goes to work, right, then he can choose where he goes, right, and go do other things. So I don't think there, but I do understand that there is a bearing, right? So, if you have lots of people coming out of university that they don't know Java, right, then maybe it's going to be harder for companies to hire people with Java knowledge, right? So I understand that point. But let me tell you one thing, Ali. I was talking to you the other day. We had a JCP meeting, and we're discussing with the guys from the JVM, right? So the guys are doing the Java virtual machine, right? And so we asked them and said, so what do you need, right? What should we be helping students to learn? What kind of things do you need for them? Do they need to know Java so they can come work with you? And basically they said, look, there's one thing the universities could teach that would really improve the situation worldwide, right? Is universities could teach testing. Testing, right? Because he said, a programming language, we teach that, right? People get this very easily in the job. But if you don't have the mindset of knowing how to develop software, how to test software, how to build software, if you don't have that mindset, that's a lot harder to teach people. So, here he goes, right? You're talking about one of the guys developing one of the most advanced pieces of software that we use, the Java virtual machine. And they're not worried about what language you're going to learn in university. They're worried that you learn the concept, the basic things that you need to be a good developer. And so I think that has no bearing whatsoever what the universities teach with what we're going to do. Now, if the industry is using Java, man, I can guarantee you that all those students are going to learn Java on the side because they want good jobs, right?
That's right. That is very true. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Right. So let's say hello to Evaldo. Just he's saying good afternoon. Say, hey, Evaldo, how you doing? So come on, guys, ask questions here so we can have we can go deep in that conversation, right? So Ali's saying great answer. Okay, thanks a lot, Ali. So that's all good insights. Now coming back to in terms of future of technology, right? We're actually going to have more discussions also in the future of software development and all of that. So what are you doing, right, Mary? What are you doing today to prepare for the future? Do you study a lot every day? Do you experiment with lots of technologies? What is what are you doing for you to prepare for the future?
Sure. Yes, and I agree. There are just not enough hours in a day for all the things that I want to do. Yes, I would like to spend more time actually also focusing on, like, say, developing some prototype, right? Some proof of concept. I think I would like more time in that. However, I'm being advocate. Sometimes I'm travel. But the thing is, too, I do read a lot too, trying to get understanding, again, right? Languages are good to know. But I feel, too, at the same time, we're also trying to see what the trend might be, what are the demands, right, that of like solutions to the problems that we're trying to solve. So we should develop a mindset, or as what I'm seeing is that let's look at what the problems are there we can solve, right, immediately, what to solve and how to do it. So here it is, right, we're learning all of these different languages, libraries, tools. These are like tools that we can use to create solutions that for problems that we do see, that are coming in the future. So for me, I'm reading up on a lot of things and just getting exposed to the different ways of doing things. I'm even like trying to understand how Go is doing, how Golang too is doing the all of the messaging and things like that, and how even .NET world, what are they doing? So it's more like I'm not going to be saying I'm religious about I only do Java, but I'm also trying to understand my other languages, how, what kind of problem areas it is designed to solve. So I try to understand all of the toolings that, what they can do, and then looking at, what it is that I need to do to create solutions to solve these problems, and then use the right tools for the right job. I think that's what I'm kind of trying to get myself educated towards that end, rather than just saying I only learned this or only learned that. Yeah. So in other words, I don't have enough time to kind of learn everything, but I try, every day trying to learn as much as I can and talk with people, right? Go to communities and talk with people, and you kind of get educated like that too. Not just, not just reading. It's important too, I think, to reach out to other people and talk about it, have ideas bounce back and forth. I think it's a great way of getting inspiration. Being on this panel, just to listen to you both, and I kind of already have some ideas. So it is so important. I can't emphasize, more than the fact that you need to get out there and talk with people. That's important. So
That's awesome. So let me just kind of quickly tell Dennis. Dennis asked me if he can ask in Portuguese, and we translate. Yes, go ahead, Dennis. Ask anything in Portuguese, and that's all fine. So I'm glad that you're here, listening and participating. Even if you cannot write in English, but you can participate in English. That's awesome. And actually, can I just kind of do a little another little conversation here? So if you're watching this here, like Dennis, and you have worries about your English, we're gonna launch in TDC next week, right? So it's already available right now. We're gonna promote that in TDC next week. One thing that we are calling the English meter, right? Or in Portuguese, inglesômetro. So if you're worried about your English, go to inglesômetro.com.br, right? Inglesômetro.com.br, right? So you go there and it's gonna test you. It's all in Portuguese, not for you, Mary, and you, not you, y'all, of course. But if you're Brazilian and you're worried about your English, we're gonna launch an initiative to help you get your English in the right situation. So go there, experiment with it, see what your real level of English is, and then we can help you out, to improve it, right? Okay, so let me go here for the questions here. So, actually, do you want to discuss about how you're preparing for the future? I kind of.
I guess I watch movies. That may be the best way.
You watch movies.
I think I'll just repeat something that Mary said. I think two things. You can't really learn everything, but you want to be aware of what's there. So, like if you know that, I think another thing I heard from you, degrees of ignorance. You don't have to know everything, but you want to have a way to find out when something is out there, and then figure out if it's worth actually diving into. And that one way to go about it is user groups and conferences, etc. And then the universal skill is problem solving. So you should practice that in any way that you like to practice that by writing software or solving riddles or just participating in open source and trying to help them solve their issues. In the actual, I think the actual language or the project is less important. Just find something area that you like. And from what you said, maybe testing is the other important skill that you need to work on, which is universal.
That's right.
I don't have so much to say about how you learn to test, but that's something that we can maybe have a separate discussion.
Yeah.
Okay,
so we have lots of other questions here. Let me see if I can go. We don't have a lot of time, right? So we have like 5 minutes left. I don't want to hold you guys more than we agreed to. So let me just kind of try to get the questions really quick here. So Max says, good developers always want to learn new things. Well, what are the best places that developers can continue to improve the improvement in the future? What do you guys see that, you mentioned communities and open source, right, y'all? Do you guys see any others places?
Well, user groups and conferences, but you have websites where you solve problems, and while solving problems, you get exposed. You see how other people solved it, and again, you can choose a technology that you want to do it with. So, generally speaking, you want to go a little bit out of your comfort zone. Another thing that we discussed that I heard from you, Bruno. And I really like this idea that you have a comfort zone as a developer. You want to move a little bit away from it and then do what we call deliberate practice. Just go and solve problems, do things until you get comfortable there, and then you keep moving. And that's how developers can get better and better and always learn new things. But it can be done in many places.
Sure.
There are websites that are dedicated to solving problems. There are competitions that you can enter. If it's in machine learning and AI, is definitely Kaggle is the best way that you can learn and participate. But there are other things for different aspects, other areas.
That's right. Yeah.
Okay, totally. So Mary, I'm going to throw another question for you here, right? So you're a Java evangelist, so maybe you have to deal with this all the time, right? So how do you deal with this Baslur? Hey, Baslur, good to see you, man. Baslur is helping us out in the JCP, right? So thanks a lot, Baslur, for on the Java in Education initiative, right? So how do you deal with the situation when someone wants to go for with that everything needs to be written in JavaScript, right? The main
Okay.
argument it is that it's challenging to find a Java developer, and we won't find developers down the road in Java in like 5 years. So
Yeah.
how do you
Yeah.
deal with that, Mary?
Yeah, I think, well, I feel if, it's really about people's intention too. If you are willing to learn, you can always give the opportunity to someone who are willing, right? If you say you can't find people in Java, but they are already a developer, I don't see the reason why they can't just pick up and learn. I think everybody has the capacity to learn. It's true. Java has its way of doing things, its own way. So is other languages, JavaScript, or I think JavaScript is true. It's just easier to pick up, so to speak. But the thing is too, there's anybody can learn too. So I don't think there would be an issue if a person is already a developer, they want to learn. It's very possible. It's not going to be that much of a big difference to program in other languages is what I look at it. So it's really like your intention. You want to learn. You find people who are eager to learn and do it too. I think, yeah. So that's how I look at it. So yeah.
Right. Well, actually, the one thing I'm going to say about this, right? It is hard to find developers in any language those days, right?
It's true
we have
too.
we have companies with hundreds and thousands of developer positions. They're not being filled, right? So, if you get to pick and choose, so actually, if you're getting a Java developer and those developers, because the Java ecosystem is so powerful, they can work on lots of different things, right? Maybe you're going to be better off actually training people in Java than in other things, right? So that's just my opinion here. All right. So Bonnie Master says, okay, so yeah, I'm going to show that to you, right? So Bonnie Masters, he wrote in Portuguese, but I'm going to say, so how do you see technology as a substitute for developers in the future, right? So what do you think that's going to be an impact in the future of technology? What do you think about this, Yao? Is AI going to replace developers?
When I was looking at it also, we may have heard about the GPT-3, which is this omni-capable piece of software that can basically read the text, all the text on the internet, and then answer questions and sound a lot like a human being. So it can also write software. I've seen actually a demo where you could give it some simple instructions. You tell it draw a triangle and then add some color to it, and it will actually generate a piece of code. And it's very promising and scary at the same time. So I think there is going to be something going there, but I don't think this technology is yet there. It has several issues. It can do, but it can do simple things. The thing is, one of the issues is there is no accountability. You never know if it's actually working or not. So maybe if you can develop the tests and then tell the software to do it and it passes your test, then you're okay. But basically, that software goes and reads software that were written by other people versus requirements, so it can do some mapping and then can repeat the same thing. So it needs a certain base of good people that wrote that software for specifications, so it can even produce correct results. What I think is more likely in the near future is to be assisted by that. So if you're a developer, as developers, we've been using Stack Overflow and generally the net to look for hints and clues and how other people did things, what is the best practice to do certain things. So there have been already several AI-driven plugins or other pieces of software that could help you find, like they can even guess, they say, oh, it looks like you're going to write this kind of code. Let me show you what other people wrote when they were in the same situation and how they were ranked. So I will show you first the ones that were ranked as good answers or good pieces of code, and then maybe you can get a clue from that. So I think that they can take it maybe to another level and maybe start filling in pieces of code for you. And of course, it has some. It doesn't feel so great as a developer who wants to write things from scratch. It's pretty much like let the car drive by itself to some degree while I'm watching. It probably feels funny, but people may get used to it at some point, and maybe that will make development faster.
Yeah, I think that the more and more we will be, look, there's a big lack of developers, right, in the market, right? So, if simple repetitive things or even like, best practice things can be just kind of done automatically, why am I going to waste my time doing those automatic things while I can really focus on doing the creative and the innovative things, right? So what I think is more and more is going to happen is that, and we see these out everywhere, right? Automation tools never replace people, right? They get people to move up to do more interesting things, right? And so I know they just replace that repetitive, that bad, that boring stuff
Sure.
that you don't want to do anyway, right? So that's kind of my take on this, right? Do you want to say anything, Mary, or can I go to the next question here?
Oh well, yeah, that's a very good answer, and I like that too. Like you said, right, the automation part, yeah, will be there, but it's not. Yeah, we already move up, in the human, kind of in the collective kind of force, right? We kind of move up, kind of onto another level of solving problems on those levels. But yeah, and I totally agree with you. So yeah.
So actually, this ties back to the first thing you said out in the beginning, right, Mary, of actually helping people, having kind of what is the phrase you said, right? Like having people have a better life, right? Or
Kind of enhancing. Yeah, how did I? It's funny. I can't even remember the phrase I was
right,
referring to, but it is true. Is to enhance our lives. Essentially, right? To make us better too. I think it is.
right.
What I'm
Because you
trying
think about it, right? The woman brain, right, is like the the most sophisticated thing on planet Earth, right? Probably in the universe, right? As far as we know, right? And so if we can help people use their brains, right, can develop their abilities and do better things, right? Why we're not going to use any tool that can help us, even any tool that we actually, that's what we do all our life, right? Tools help enhance who we are, right? So that's why we use computers and videos and microphones, right? So all of these is just enhance who we are. And I think that's the best, that we can keep doing this forever, I guess.
That's
All
right.
right. Now, Dennis has a very long question here. I'm going to try to translate really fast here. He says, as a student of science or computer science, I feel myself pressured by between what we learn in the curriculum at university and what the markets request, right? So, for example, I'm in the middle of the third semester and I try to apply for jobs, right? But there's always they ask for me frameworks and tooling, right? And I get mad, right? Because I feel like the academic knowledge is more important, right? So do you think that few companies have patience for students?
Oh, yeah. That's interesting. Well, I guess my thought is that I do find, right? So I think maybe it comes down to is that it is true. Maybe like companies tend to kind of focus on maybe the short term needs. I need something. I need somebody who knows it to come in and just do the job, kind of thing. And it's for practical reason. It's understandable. They have something they need to hurry up and get it done so they can sell and they can get paid, right? They have their financial quarter. But the thing is too is that maybe the key is to be able to find, like, say a company or somewhere that they are willing to train, give the opportunity and have the kind of trust in the young people able to come in and contribute their ideas and give them opportunity to practice their trade. I think that's what maybe for university students to look for. And I've come across some really outstanding university students, so much potential. They learn so quickly. They bring in new ideas. So I feel it's more like companies needs to be open up to think about that aspect a bit longer term, giving younger people the opportunity to come in. And I think there are certainly opportunities out there too for the young students coming into the workforce too, is what I look at it. But yeah, just don't focus on the ones that are too short term. I think that's what I like to kind of point out. So yeah.
Right. Okay,
That's
so
it.
actually, Dennis, we're not going to have a lot of time to go into that, but I just present several presentations at Campus Party. You can still find the talks on YouTube. You go to So Java's YouTube and you're going to see there, or Campus Party YouTube, you're going to see there where we discuss this problem, right? So how to get hired, how to show your skills for companies. And let me tell. And actually, I even wrote a book called The Best Developer Job. And so the Best Developer Job talks about this process, right, Dennis? When you apply to a job, man, you're already lost. Okay, because you can only apply to the worst positions available, right? You gotta put yourself in a different situation. If you don't want to work for companies that don't have patience for students, don't apply for them, right? How about that? Yeah. So we gotta flip that a little bit, Dennis. And if you have any question about that, send me an email or ping me on Twitter, and we can talk more about that. Okay, so. So Diogo says, awesome talk. Thank you all so much. So thanks a lot, Diogo. And then Allison, So asked about a question about Java here. So do you think that's going native with Java is a good idea, right? I'm not sure exactly what native Java he's thinking about here, but the better thing about Java is the JVM. Number one, the better thing about Java is the JVM. Number two, preparing a project to be compiled is not so straightforward. Oh, so actually, he's really thinking about compiling Java to native code. So you guys want to take do a take on that?
Yeah, I think. Yeah, it looks like you want to say something first.
I don't have much to say to that, but I maybe can make a comment. But you go ahead. You go first.
Oh, okay. Well, I think it is good, I guess, in the sense that, yes, I think everybody seems to be now, right? The vendors are going for like going native with a lot of things, because it is true. If you kind of build your code, is already, your machine ready, it's definitely will be faster. I think, but it's not easy. It is like Ellison was talking about. It is not easy. So again, I think maybe it kind of comes back again, right, to the needs to, like, do we need to have everything kind of going native, for example, like that. So it kind of depends on the situation too, I think. But certainly too, there's a cost side kind of benefit of compiling to native. Everything will be faster too, and then that's kind of like kind of a what you call it, like that's a fact. Yeah, let's put it that way. So yeah, it is nothing would be wrong with that, but it's not easy to do. As we all know, and yeah, companies are working on that. So yeah, okay. So Gerard said something is not always faster. Yeah,
I was gonna make the same comment.
Yeah.
So yes.
Yeah, which is also very true. Yeah, it may not be all fast too. So yeah, it is very true. Yeah, but I'd say there are just so many problems we need to think of. We can focus on your language and everything, but still in today's world, I feel there are distributed systems. We have to deal with the fact that network is unreliable, and how do we deal with it, right? And so, say for example, there are protocols that actually deal with very constrained network, constrained bandwidth and everything. Maybe those are the kind of things we can also think of, right? For example, like some IoT protocol, MQTT, right? It's designed for small bandwidth, very very unreliable network, right, for device to device communication. Maybe that type of thing we need to be thinking of, having protocols that can deal with the environment that is unpredictable. Maybe that's the way to go. I mean, I don't mean to digress, but I think there are also a lot of problems we can solve too, that dealing with constrained type of situation, I think, is what we should kind of move towards. So yeah.
Right. So I just a comment on that. I think Jared is right. That's it's not always faster. So we have to understand that going native, there are things that you miss. Right. Remember that when you compile your code to native, then you make all the decisions at compile time, and there's a lot of decisions that you don't have at compile time. So that's why the beauty of the JVM is actually being able to make decisions during runtime when wherever the code is actually running, right? So it's not always faster. So it depends on the situation. So actually, you really should be thinking about running on top of a Java VM or even a Ground VM, right? So run on top of a VM that can optimize things, and if you can see special places where you need to go native, by all means, evaluate that. That's why this is possible to do since Java started, right? The reason why it didn't catch up when Java started was because even when you compile Java, the Java VM is many times a lot faster, right? So there's all kinds of discussion there. It's a trade-off, as everything is a trade-off, right? So no, it's not true that you should always go native. Though it's not true that you never should go native, right? So there's always a midterm there that you should analyze.
Totally. Yep, that's right. Good one. So yes.
So you want to make a comment? So there's a question for you here. So Apple Boy, I think he made a comment, right? He says, I think the pressure for hiring from the skill set is difficult because the product timeline is being so tight, right? Yeah, I know. So if you try to hire people and you want to train them, right, but you don't have the time for the product timelines, that's true, right? That's true, especially for companies that they're not innovating, right? So when you're innovating, you actually want amazing people working for you, no matter no matter what what skill set they have, right? You want a lot of different skill sets, and then if all you're doing is kind of cranking out code, you might want someone that's already ready for what you want to do, but then you might have problems because the real good people don't want to work this kind of job. So I don't know. It's
Totally.
Again, it's a trade-off, right? It's crazy.
It is, yeah. And thanks for asking the question, App Boy too. App Boy is my good friend on Twitch too. So yeah, he's up here. So thanks for asking that good question. So
awesome, that's great. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so I don't see any more questions. We answered all of them. Do you want to make any comments? Yeah, I kind of skipped you there for. I thought there was a question, but it's not. It's more like a comment.
No, I'm fine. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, so I mean, we are into the top of the hour. I mean, we've passed at the top of the hour a little bit, but we have
it's always fun
here for 1 hour. So I'm sorry if you guys are missing any kind of meeting because of me. But is there anything you wanna end this with? Any comments or discussions or ideas that you can promote?
I think one thing we can tell from maybe going back to that Back for the Future, we have some ideas of what's going to happen. It's never going to happen that way. And going back to what Mary said, we need to try to influence for things to go for the better. So
that's right.
So it will help people rather than make the world into this hostile environment.
That's right. Yeah.
That's very true. So we should, and I think that's an interesting thing, right, Yao? Because we are very tuned in and very aligned with technology, right? So I mean, we have something to say. We have, it's part of our responsibility that this whole thing goes in the right direction, isn't it?
No. That is so true. Yeah, I think so. Yeah. So I feel like we as I think there's a movie, right? That was it like Batman or something? They said with great power come great responsibility. It's sort of like we have this knowledge, we have the responsibility to kind of influence everybody to kind of make sure we're moving in the right direction. That's really for the positive side of things and not kind of go down the other direction. So yeah, that's how I feel. Yeah, we want to encourage the positive things to come out of all of these is what I look at too. There's just already as there's so many problems, right? Let's see if we can do it better and kind of show people a good way, right, to move towards the good things. So yeah,
right.
So yeah,
that's great. Yeah. So after Mary referencing Spider-Man, right? So what else can we do, right? So, right.
That's right. Yeah.
All right.
Thank you.
So just before we finish here, just kind of invite everyone, right? So remember that next week, Mary, Eyal, me, and lots of other people are going to be present at the developers conference, right? So you can remember that if you come here to let me just kind of put the link here on the screen so everyone can see that. Right? Yeah. So you go to that link, ddevconf.com, and you're going to see that page here, and you can see on this purple, the TDC Future. And if you click there, you're going to get the page where you can register. I know it's going to say register for free, but that's just a translation of the button, but it will not take you to our English version, right? So scroll down a little bit here and notice that's going to be register now international, right? That's what you want. If you want to register for the international tracks, or if you're not a Brazilian, you can't deal with a Portuguese page. So that's what you have to come register now international, and that's going to allow you to register for free. The basic pass is fully free, right? So you can register here, but if you want, there's other things that you can also do. There's all kinds of interesting tracks that you can register for if you want that. Okay, so I hope to see you there. And let me thank you, both Mary and Eyal. It's awesome that you guys are here. It was an amazing conversation. Thanks for taking the time for sharing all your thoughts with us. Thanks a lot, and everyone that's watching us, everyone that comment on, thank you very, very much for each being here. Max says I'll be there in TDC. Thanks a lot, Max. So thanks everyone for being here with us. And remember that we're gonna have 3 more, right? That's the second of the week of the daily discussion about future, right? We're also going to have tomorrow. We're going to discuss skills for developers in the future. We're going to discuss the future of software development in general, and on Friday, we're going to discuss the future of work, right? So thanks very much. Thanks, Mary. Thanks, Eyal.
Thank you, Bruno. Thank you, Eyal. Thanks, everyone. Yeah. Okay.
All right. Okay. Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.